We're back after what's it's been 3 weeks? 3 weeks
It's
since
been
we
a
did a
while.
show.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Been a
yeah.
little
It's,
bit,
it's
little bit, little bit.
definitely a little while for like the Star Wars stuff too. I think the last thing we did for Star Wars was the Acolyte. I think that was the last like major episode we did in general.
Possibly.
Dang. That
Yeah.
feels like a year ago at this point. But we've been covering Rings of Power, and if you guys are here, you know that's kind of what we've been up to. Sorry we missed the past couple weeks. I had work, Lunga had work, and then last Thursday was the hurricane out here in Florida, so
Yeah.
that kind of messed with my power and everything. Took like 5 hours for the Wi-Fi to kick on, but we're back now. Talk about some Rings of
Yeah. And
Power and
let's do a little
more
shout out, by
Star
the
Wars
way.
stuff.
We did get a super chat before we even started. Katie Miller with the $10 super chat. Thank you, Katie. Much appreciated. The super sticker.
It's keeping us the lights on
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
we take a sabbatical from the show. And after this episode, we'll probably take another quick little sabbatical. Maybe not the rest of the month, but maybe we'll definitely be back in the swing of things next month when like November comes around and Skeleton Crew starts picking up and everything. But that's all in the not far away future, I guess. Lunga, do you want to talk about like some of the Star Wars stuff going on first? Or you want to talk about Rings of Power first?
People are assholes. They're dumb fucks. They're idiots. They're fucking mental midgets. Let me cancel me for using the word midget, but I'm not talking about short people here. So they're fucking idiots, man. That's all I can say. Well, I mean, what else there to
I'm
say?
not sure which one you're referring to because there's a bunch of them. My favorite group of idiots is this new thing that apparently is going to happen with a lot of the studios where they're going to have focus groups of like
Yeah.
fans of like a franchise, and I guess the fans are going to tell them what they need to be doing and not doing with certain movies and IPs.
How
and stuff
how are they
like that.
gonna how are they gonna vet people if they're really a fan? That's what I want to know.
That was a big question of mine because of course the first thing in both of our minds was, oh, I'm perfect for this job. Like I should absolutely be on this little council of nerds over here. But
Yeah,
also
so is
like
everyone
I
that
was
signed
thinking
the
about,
Acolyte petition.
oh God, yeah. Sorry, we actually appreciate like good movies and art and everything like that. I know I'm a young man, but these are like people with young minds that don't remember anything that came before fucking Acolyte, I guess. My thing would be is like the leaks. Like what if you had like freaking
Yeah.
Dave Filoni sitting there being like, and then Abeloth is gonna come in at the end of this or that and everything, and then someone just tweets it out like immediately, like, oh, Dave Filoni just said this or this is what's gonna happen in the movie. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of surprised by that, but
I mean,
I'll
it
be
would, I
honest,
mean,
I
like,
think
here's
it's a
the
good
thing:
idea.
there would be NDAs and stuff like that, and it could be in big
Yeah.
trouble. So, they spell it out and like, listen, okay, you 10 people are the only people that are seeing this outside of the production people. So if it gets leaked, we know it's you, and we will enforce the NDA. I mean, it's that simple.
But do you think this is a good idea on the parts of the studios? Because for mine, I will say
You know,
yes. I'll say yes, but I'll give my reason
here
after you give yours.
it's a slippery slope, okay? And unfortunately, I had to smack down someone on Twitter who because everyone's like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Why? Because they're appeasing to these toxic fans. Shut the fuck up. They're not appeasing any toxic fans. They're appeasing fans, bitch. Okay? Anyone can be part of a focus group. So can you. The fuck? You think they're gonna do a questionnaire? Are you part of the Phantom Menace? Okay, you're in. Are you not? Okay, no, sorry, you can't be part of this focus group. That's not how it works. Okay? Anyone can be there. So if you fuckers try to go there, guess what? You can give your opinion too. But they're like, oh no, that's destroying art, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And some people are saying, guess what? You don't get to get a say. As someone who's, tried to create things on my own, not very successful, I will say this. While, yes, I do agree they need to try to keep a finger on the pulse of what fans are liking, because you want to make something that they watch, right? I mean, that's the goal, okay? You don't want to make it so focused on them that casual audiences won't go. So you got to find that happy balance. Okay. I get that. And that's true. But at the same time, creators got to create, bro. They're the ones that are writing it. They're the ones that are creating it, not the fans. And as we've seen with fan fiction, if you let the fans create shit, it ain't great either. Okay. So you have to, yeah. Well, especially when Leslie Headland said she was reading fanfic stuff and it's like, oh, I'm taking some. No, don't do that. What are you doing? Don't do that. You want to read it for your own personal enjoyment? Go ahead, but don't take notes from it. Try to use it.
Yeah.
But so it is a slippery slope. So I hate to agree with some of the more progressive people out there who are pissed but let's be honest. The only reason why they're pissed is because they think it's because the way the articles is geared and the way people are looking at it is this is happening solely because of the toxic. And I love how the toxic fans are only the ones that don't like what they're doing.
Yes,
the ones
that's a big thing. That's
right,
a big, even
right.
The Hollywood
all the
Reporter
Acolyte
talking about
fans
the Acolyte said
that made this petition, who were harassing Disney online, who were calling them racists and bigots for canceling the show. That's not toxic. That's not toxic.
They're the moral
superior. You just did the same fucking thing, motherfucker. Okay, and literally, that's the tweet I made a little earlier too. I'm like, listen, y'all, you know what? You're both fucking doing it. You both can go to fucking hell. Okay, because you're both fucking doing it. Okay,
well, and one person put out something that you replied to, which was the same thing I thought, where this person was like, "This all begins with the Last Jedi," and it's simply because people don't understand it. And it's so funny that this is happening again because I think this is actually a good idea, because I really do think that other than someone like Mark Hamill, if you just had a fan of Star Wars, like talking to Ryan Johnson, just be like, "Yo, bro, like, I'm sorry, this is an awful idea," And I'm not to be, it's because of this, that, or the other, of any isms or anything. It's simply just because
they're not going to listen to it. You want no, they won't. It'll be a fucking nightmare. I'll give you a perfect example, and it's not even. Why did Henry Cavill leave The Witcher?
I don't remember. I didn't he want to go?
Because Henry Cavill is a fan of the source material.
Stuff. Yeah.
No. Henry Cavill is a fan of the source material. He likes the books and the video games, and he really liked it. And the writers had their own plan for the show. And he's, after the first season, they're doing the second season, he's like, "Hey, can I talk to you guys about some of this stuff? Because this stuff you're putting here, it's not really that good. And the fans of this are not going to really like it. We should make some change." And finally he left because he's like, "You know what? I couldn't do it anymore because they were just putting me in a position to do something that I don't believe in because they're not sticking to the source material at all." And then they came back, so anonymous people on the writing crew, about how he was being toxic in the production and how he was attacking people and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So he was a problem. So listen, when your lead actor of the caliber of Henry Cavill can't have input and the writers tell him to shut the fuck up, to the point that you make this show that was wildly successful in the first season and wildly anticipated by people and a show that was wanted with an actor that people fucking love, you drove him out because, nope, I want to make what I want to make. And these aren't people of the caliber of Ryan Johnson. So that should tell you. And it's a Netflix show. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think that is a problem with the studio system in general, is that all the news about this is kind of in reference to like Star Wars, Marvel, I guess not really DC so much, even though that's pretty much down their drain. But now Lord of the Rings with Rings of Power, which we're talking about in the show. And my point with all this is, all of these brands, all these franchises, and I would say almost every single one, from Jurassic Park to Indiana Jones, anything with Star Wars, Marvel, superhero stuff, they've all been tainted in a way. They've all been watered down. Like movies in general are not as good as they were 20 years ago, but definitely not 40, 50, 60 years ago. I mean, the industry is creatively bankrupt at this point. And so what I think is happening here is you have a lot of these studios thinking, okay, well, we're turning away the fans. The numbers are showing that, people are getting less and less interested in these franchises and upset. I think a lot of that is not on the studio's part. I think a lot of it's the creators that these studios are hiring. It's like a catch-22 in a thing. Like, they're doing wrong by hiring people like Leslie Headland, hiring whoever the fuck's doing Rings of Power. Clearly, whoever did The Witcher was a bunch of idiots too, if they're not sticking to the source material. What's happening in this genre of franchises and these contents that they're all trying to create for these worlds, even Game of Thrones, I guess, may have this problem, is that you have people taking art from someone else, like a George Lucas, like a Tolkien, Stan Lee, whatever, and then they're putting their own spin on it, and it's not their art,
I already hinted at why. These creators that are all in these young and up and coming writers, and they're all part of these creative staffs that are doing these things nowadays, are all, and a lot of them are in their 20s and 30s. Okay? They are all people who grew up with fan fiction. There are people who like fan fiction. And there are people who probably, because they're writers, guess what they probably did when they were in high school on Tumblr? Wrote fucking fan fiction. Okay? The author of 50 Shades of Grey, it started out as a fan fiction. She was blogging of Twilight.
Jesus. I didn't even know that.
Okay? Yes. It's a fan fiction. And these fan fictions, the thing that they don't get is, I'm not saying that it's bad writing, because some could be good writers, some could be bad writers, right? But you're making something that you like, which that's the point of a fan fiction. And maybe you get some people, oh, this is great, blah, blah, blah. And you get the little, dopamine rush from people liking it. But the reality is when you're writing a fan fiction, you're writing your fantasy of this show, of this IP. Okay? You're not writing it with the idea of what does the mass audience want. You're just assuming, well, if I like it, they're going to like it. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. Okay? If you're taking an established IP that has a lore, that has a history, I'm not saying you can't bend some stuff. I'm not saying you can try to reinvent some things, okay? Expand on some things. You can. You could be ultimately creative even with an existing IP. But there you have to take some of the pillars that make that IP popular and use those as your fucking guideposts, man. Okay, you can't just say fuck them all.
None of these franchises are doing that anymore. I mean, even with Fantastic Beast, which I know had J.K. Rowling involved in it, it feels so detached from like those Harry Potter movies. And I think it's funny now because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of arguments about this topic individually, and it's actually something like even on like the Star Wars only two. Like I think it's a very interesting topic of like, yes, these franchises are big, and you want more content. We always want more Star Wars, but then the problem is, like you just said, you have these writers, these directors who want to put their spin on something that is already established, and people are gonna push back on that idea and be like, well, why can't they? It's like no. Look at Star Wars.
Which again is fine.
Look at Episode 2. Empire Strikes Back had a different director, had a different writer, everything. But it's still not only made the franchise better, but it still
tried to stick to his vision.
Exactly. It had that same core feeling, and you don't get that anymore. And I do feel like looking back, J.J. Abrams actually did it the best with The Force Awakens. The way he filmed it and went about making that movie, it did feel the closest to the original trilogy than anything we've gotten. It wasn't. It was the best.
And the argument was it was a New Hope rehash too, which is not good either.
It was an.
But that was that was getting your feet wet, right? That's getting your feet wet. So we could forgive that.
We knew what they were doing with that. Yeah, I feel like I'm more forgiving for that because of the situation they were in, and honestly, that was more of a narrative choice more than like with The Force Awakens, like it feels like you can touch everything that's in there. Those feel real, Like since we're talking about Rings of Power today, Lord of the Rings, the Shire is a real place. I can go there. I can walk among it. It's supposed to feel like that, and it actually is like that. At least with these movies, I don't get that same feeling with like Rings of Power or the Fantastic Beast movies or a lot of these new Star Wars projects, other than like Andor and The Mandalorian. A lot of these things have been watered down because.
I lost your audio only. Oh, we only dropped. So, okay, guys. He dropped. So it's just me right now. So he'll be back. Since he doesn't have cam, you guys don't see that. I do see it. So he dropped. He should be back shortly. So I'll just read some chat while you guys are while we're waiting for him to come back. So Jack Boitani says, I'm so lost. It's this week in Twitter already? Yeah. I think Grievous touched on it. But yeah, only asked me at the beginning. So do you want to start with some of the Star Wars stuff we've been talking about or going to Rings of Power? And I said, well, let's get this out of the way. So we're talking about some Star Wars stuff right now at the beginning. Pika Fan says, I'd say there's been a lot of great films this year. I think you're talking about in general, perhaps. Yeah, there's been some decent ones. Grievous Reborn says, I do not like fan fiction, good or not. I mean, there can still be some stuff that's out there that's good, Grievous. That's a little narrow viewpoint there. I don't think have you read enough fan fiction to make that confidently say that? But again, at the end of the day, it's still fan fiction, right? It's still something that this person is doing for their own enjoyment. It shouldn't be used as a, script for a movie and a current IP. That's a problem with that. Pika says, I used to write Star Wars fan fiction. Does it mean I can get a job at Lucasfilm? Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Listen, the very first thing I wrote, guys, I got it buried here somewhere. I'm not going to try to find it. I still have it. I put a bunch of pieces of paper, glued them together, and tried to make a book out of it. I wrote this back in 7th grade, and it was basically a Metroid fan fiction. Okay? So 7th grade, we're talking 87, 86, 87. I did it was a Metroid fan fiction. I actually wrote a little short story. I put a cover on it. I called it Kraid. And drew a little thing on there, and Samus Aran and this nebula up. But here's the thing. Oh, only you're back.
Yeah, yo, my Wi-Fi went out, bro, and I'm not like other than last week's hurricane, my Wi-Fi has never gone out like that while
It
living
happens.
here in this apartment. Now, this is a nice ass apartment. I gotta talk to AT&T about that. But
So
where
I was
were
just
you?
talking about shit. I was just talking about I'll go over the
It's the-
comments, just talking about things in the comics, and it's the Lunga show now.
It's the Lunga only show now.
The ultimate technical
Oh my
difficulty this
God.
pod has encountered so far. It's actually
Yo.
looking pretty good right now. I think things led up good. I don't know if anyone noticed there. We'll do a little show and tell too. There is the upgraded PC, guys. Oh,
Water cooled and everything.
look, there's a TIE fighter in there. But yeah, it's a beautiful
It
thing.
must be fucking nice. My PC just looks like I call it a sleeper.
I mean,
'cause it looks
look,
like
look how this opens up, my guy. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh my God, that's beautiful. And the back
And
does
what
the same thing.
purpose does that serve? Does that let the air out?
Well, no, that's when you're doing stuff, when you modding stuff, taking stuff in and
I
out.
forgot people
And the
work on
back,
PCs constantly.
yeah, the back has a glass door just like this. It looks just like this, the front panel, and the back is where all the cable management is. So all the cables are hidden back there, and then there's panels that go over the cables. So literally, you see like glass and like panels. You don't see like any cables really in the back either. So it's like really cool.
No more technical
Really cool.
difficulties on your end. God
No.
damn it.
No, I mean they'll still happen every now and then. OBS is a bitch. It happens. Shit happens sometimes. Or I forget to hit a
Trying to
button.
upgrade.
That's more
But
human error
shout
than
out to all
anything,
the people who've stuck around for these technical difficulties. I mean, I don't want to say it's an every show thing, but we've had some pretty major ones. Even with Brendan Wayne when he came on that one time, he like dipped out for like 30 minutes. I was like, fuck, we gotta
Yeah.
do this interview. All right, so we're talking about the focus group stuff.
Yeah.
And then quickly about like cancellations of series and everything. They did that Hollywood Reporter article today asking like if Disney was bad about Star Wars, and that's a whole nother topic of itself. But I do find it curious. They mentioned that both the Book of Boba Fett was planned to be a series, got stopped after one season. Acolyte was clearly canceled, and that one ended on a cliffhanger, so it was a lot worse. And they even say with Skeleton Crew, the plan right now is to have it be a series, but we have to wait until the viewership numbers come in. And I can understand that, but I do feel this same sentiment that we've had with Star Wars for like 5 years of this is a horrible way to approach this. It's so reactionary of let's
It
see
is.
how
It
people
is.
like this thing, and then let's see if we commit to it.
And I can like for the Acolyte people, for the fans of it, I can understand the frustration, right? I can understand it. If you're really into it, you're like, hey, I would like to see what happened. I understand that, but the pompous outrage is what's driving me nuts. Okay, because even though I generally enjoyed Ahsoka, you guys had some issues with it, but I think we all kind of agreed. Okay, we'll see what happens with season 2. There's enough intrigue there to want to know what happens in season 2, right?
Yeah.
Not as bad as how we felt about the Acolyte. Okay, but even after that, we were questioning: are they going to greenlight it? The numbers weren't great. I mean, then they immediately came out like a week later and said, yeah, they're renewing it. And we're like, oh, okay, all right, cool. You know what I mean?
No, it wasn't like a week. It was. I think it was almost like a month that it took.
Was it a month?
The green light.
I thought it was like a week.
Yeah, no, it took It took 2 weeks, like maybe even a week, to cancel Acolyte after season 1. Though that was very immediate. Like,
Quick.
it was shocking.
Yeah. But and yeah, they're gonna say, oh, these toxic people, they gaslit people into believing it wasn't good. No. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't good. And I still posit this. All the people because now you're seeing these slew of Twitter posts of all these people saying, you know what, I didn't watch Acolyte, and I decided to watch it now, and you know what, it was actually pretty good. I didn't watch it because all these people were saying it was bad. Okay, motherfucker, your liberal ass was not sitting here watching Geeks and fucking Gamers and taking their advice. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's not what was happening. Don't tell me You guys who are now talking about how all these toxic fans, toxic YouTubers, don't tell me you didn't watch it because Star Wars Theory and fucking Jeremy said it sucked. Don't. If anything, that should have made you say, I think I should watch it because I don't trust them. Okay, that's what it should have did.
They didn't watch it because they weren't interested in it. Like, clearly from the content in of itself, it wasn't an interesting thing. And it's funny too, Bill, about the toxic thing with the Acolyte, because if that's the case and those guys got the Acolyte canceled, I think us on the Chatooine show got Book of Boba Fett canceled then, because we were hating on that show almost since day one when that came out.
Yeah,
and it did not merit a season 2. I don't think we wanted a season 2. And it's funny looking back on it because there wasn't a lot of outrage with something like that. But it also didn't have the cliffhanger.
Dude, even Kenobi. Like, people talk, there should be a sequel. I'm like, listen. Again, I was still a little more positive overall. I thought, okay, it was a fun watch. You guys are a little more down on it. But but even I said it was as much as a fun watch. I'm like, no, this does not need a season 2. It doesn't. It doesn't need a season 2.
I mean, I wouldn't say it didn't, but I kind of want to say it didn't need to happen. Like that's one of my problems with like the 3 shows we're talking about here about the limited series thing with Kenobi, Acolyte, and Book of Boba Fett, is that all of these shows have done some pretty bad damage to the brand of Star Wars. Like when you really like sit down and look at that brand now, it's like these shows are canon. These are like legit. They're kind of serious and they're not good. And the idea of getting a second or third season of these would make it even worse. And then there's a potential, oh, well, maybe it can get better over time. It's like, why can't it be good from the start? And people bring up something like the Clone Wars, and it's like, no, the Clone Wars, that's an animated show. And the difference approach with that was that's all they were doing. They did the Clone Wars for like 5 to 6 years straight. Like they committed only to that when they were doing that. You don't have that anymore. The commitment is all over the wall of, let's see what works if we throw shit at it and hope it sticks and everything. And then if it sticks, then we follow through with it. And the best case of that is The Mandalorian and Grogu, is that they had a couple seasons of it. And apparently in this article, they're saying that the bad reaction to season 3 is why they switched over to a movie for season 4, basically, which
that's no.
But
if you get I don't buy that really, because that's not you don't knee jerk make that decision, right? That's a major decision. We saw how long the whole Kenobi going from a movie to a show took. That was a 1.5 decision before they made that.
We've known for a while that season 3 would probably be the ending of The Mandalorian. It not only felt like that after season 2, but we started getting reports about it. Like, I was one of the first people to say something, and then after a while, when they were doing season 4. When you saw season 3, it did feel like a conclusion to that.
Now, motherfucker, you said it felt like a conclusion after season 2. Okay, so stop. Okay,
Yeah,
I remember you saying that.
Conclusion.
You're like, oh,
I don't
even think it needed season 3. It felt fine the way it ended there. What? Because that's what you were saying during season 3. Okay, so let's not pretend you didn't say that. But
I don't remember.
but. Yeah, you don't remember, right? Yeah, okay. But as far as that whole season 3 fiasco, even when we're saying, or people saying that it wasn't good, and the reactions you're supposed to take from that is, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Where did we fuck up?
Yeah, and they don't do that. They don't do that with any of this stuff.
Make adjustments. I've said it, but we're going to talk about Rings of Power. I don't think this was the greatest thing ever, but I was so down after season 1. I'm like, this show sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
Season 2, I'm like, they course corrected. It's still not great, but you could see the course correction. They made changes, and it worked for me. So it's like, that's what you're supposed to do, And we're talking about the whole, Feige. We're talking about how it's hurt the brand. Listen, everything that happened after Infinity and Infinity War and Endgame. All the movies that came out, all the slew of series they were doing, they got worse and worse and worse. Hurt the Marvel brand, and remember that's their big money maker too. Okay, it's right up there with Star Wars. It hurt that brand. Now Marvel movies, we know they're popcorn munchers. Okay, they're Fast and Furious kind of movies, but there is a firm fan base that at least for those first 10 years, even though if they weren't completely thrilled with the changes they made, they're like, you know what, this is a good storytelling. We're okay with this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let's go. Then they started doing these horrible things, just pumping shit out, horrible storytelling, creators doing whatever they want. Because what happened? Feige was in control of everything. even though he had these directors that are these, I mean, listen, he kept Taika Waititi at the beginning before we got to Love and Thunder, okay?
Yeah.
But, you know, at least with Ragnarok, he kind of kept him on a leash. It's like, okay, listen, but this is the plan with the story. So, you know, you could have your fun with it, but you got to keep it, you know, you got to hit this, you got to hit that. Don't want to see this, want to see that. He was still in control of the whiteboard. Okay? And then when they started doing this after that, they took away his power. They legit did. And Chapek was just like, put this out, put that out, put this out, put that out, put this out, put that, pump this out, pump it out, pump it out, pump it out. And Feige lost all control of it. And I literally think he just went, do whatever you want. He just sat back.
Well,
and now what is he doing?
Too is the
because when Iger came back and stuff, they're like, okay, you know what? They started doing the same thing with Star Wars. They started taking things off, canceling things, changing things. We're not doing this now. We're not doing that now. This is gone. This is gone. Oh, you know what? We have all this cliffhangers in these movies. Forget about it. They didn't happen. We're gonna move on and do something different now.
Yeah, and I get the want to reset, but I really feel like it makes everything so much worse because now this is canon. You have to stick to it. You can't do anything with it anymore, and you can't follow it up. And I think a big problem is consistently the people they're hiring for these projects. Like we need to talk about Rings of Power. I know you're feeling better about season 2 than I am, but to me, it's like with these whoever is writing the show and everything. I don't understand how they got this job. I don't understand this Hollywood system anymore where I'm like, where are all the good writers at? Where are all the good creators? Like who is approving these people to showrun the series? You know,
okay, it's not that bad.
The Acolyte.
It's not that bad.
I think it's bad. Brother.
It's not that bad. Dude, listen. Well, this is where we gotta separate it. Hold on. Are you? Yeah, we can pick apart little parts, but you can't make it seem like the whole season just sucks because of that. Because that's not what it is. There's little annoying things, sure, okay. That happens in everything. You know, cringy shit, okay. Every now and then, sure, whatever, okay. But we're talking about, and these are minimum an hour long episodes, man. And these last 2 were fucking long, okay. So you're gonna hit some cringy shit in them, okay. They're not talking about these quick 30-minute episodes like we see on Star Wars, okay. So, they're decent. They're doing an okay job. So when and just from my discussion with you with previously in other shows and this, I think you're talking about a lot of it with your Lord of the Rings fan hat on. Okay. Like I was on my stream last night. I was talking about like, hey, listen, I can admit like, I like the prequels. The prequels are fun. I like watching them, but I can admit that the writing was trash. Yeah. Okay. I can admit that the writing was trash. It was. The writing was trash. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend it was good writing. I like trash. Okay, that's just the reality of it. And just like I tell people, Acolyte, it's like, listen, you can like the Acolyte, but don't try to gaslight everybody and think that the writing was good. It wasn't. It was trash. Okay, but it's also conversely can be the same way. There could be a show that the writing is really fucking good. It's just not my thing. I just don't like it. And I can't use the writing as the reason. Or if there's a show that's an IP that I like and they're not following all the stuff, but the writing's solid, okay, but they're not following everything that I like, then at that point it's very subjective. It's just, okay, you know what, me as a name of IP fan here, I just don't like this because I don't like what they're doing with it. But the writers are solid writing for what they're doing. Okay, so there's a lot of things in this Rings of Power that at the end of the day I can say, okay, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. There's the one I don't like Elrond kissing his mother-in-law. I don't care what your reasons for it were. Okay, that's just fucking weird. Okay, that's more than cringy. That's more than that is worse than
stuff.
Listen, that is huge deal more than fucking Gandalf. That's not a big fucking deal. Okay,
no, I know
that is
corny and cringy. I always like to poke fun at those. But
Elrond is not just corny and cringy. That's his mother-in-law. Where's her daughter? He's supposed to be marrying her daughter.
Yeah.
Where's her husband? Where's Celeborn? 2 seasons. No Celeborn. Not even a hint of him. That's more than Lord of the Rings hat, dude. That is majorly yes, it's partially that. It is. But it's like, where are we going with this, dude? What are we doing here?
That's the other side to it too. That's where I was going to say my disappointment.
Imagine if
it's
Mario
a lore fan and it's also just a simple TV show audience member enjoyer.
Imagine if Francis Ford Coppola, when he was making The Godfather, decided to make Tom Hagen be his natural born son and Michael be an adopted kid. No, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay. That's worse than some little cringy lines. Cringy lines are cringy lines. We can laugh at them, bitch at them. That was dumb. But that's just, come on, dude. That's a major fucking deal. And then they're going to say, well, it didn't break canon. He just did it as a ruse. He was giving her a pin to escape. And like you and me talked about, you know what? He could have kissed her on the cheek, could have hugged her. He didn't have to give her a full on hand on face, lips. Mwah. Okay. He didn't have to do all that fucking shit. That wasn't necessary.
It was
That to me, that felt like a shipping. Where in that writer room, they loved Elrond, they loved Galadriel, and they're like, and they shipped him. It's like, okay, you shipped him and his mother-in-law. That's fucking
They're
weird.
shipping him and they're shipping Sauron and Galadriel.
Sauron,
Too, at least
he is in love with
like,
her because they're playing on Galadriel. Everybody loved Galadriel. The whole Gimli falling in love with her. Everybody loved Galadriel. She was so beautiful. They're trying to highlight her beauty. You know how you highlight her beauty? Have her act how she normally acts, not this warrior woman.
No,
That's how you do it.
Whispering all the time, bro.
That doesn't bother me.
That's another one of those things. Like, who decided this in the accents?
Arwen whispered throughout all the movies. Arwen whispered throughout all the fucking movies. All the movies she was whispering
when she did it, and that's exactly how she talked out throughout the entire.
Okay,
thing.
well now you're just bitching about the actress is not sexy enough. The tone isn't good enough for you. Shut the fuck up.
I'm teasing.
I
think with Arwen though, it's because there weren't these scenes where she needed to like give like a battle cry or something like that. Like Galadriel will be like yelling at the top of her lungs, like "I will stop you," like really loud, and you're like, "What the." Why are you saying it like that? And I feel like everyone says Sauron, and she's like Sauron.
Because that's his name. It's pronounced Sauron. It's not pronounced Sauron. It's Sauron. Okay, that's how it's pronounced. Just like it's not Isildur. It's Isildur. That's how it's pronounced.
Yeah. Well, sorry. For the past 20 years, we've all called him Sauron. In the movies, they called him Sauron. In the show,
listen, I say it just for ease. Okay, but listen, maybe it's because I'm a D&D GM. Okay, when I come up with names, I'm not kidding you, man. I put that. I roll them R's on these names all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Okay, I just do, and they're names I've made up to make it sound more fantasy-ish. Okay,
and you know what? Yeah, no, I'm not backing down on the Grand Elf thing. It's not just that it was a corny line. It's just that's how he got his fucking name. And also, like I said, from the beginning of this entire thing, when we started talking about Rings of Power, I did not want this motherfucker to be Gandalf because it was so predictable. That is the fan hat on me. The fan hat coming off is this was way too predictable. And let me put the fan hat back on real quick. Fuck you for turning that blue wizard into this evil, dumb, generic-ass villain.
But again, it was generic. I will agree with you on that. But at the same token, Tolkien
flip-flopped. I was going to see if you're going to catch that.
Yes, I did. That's why I paused. The same token, Tolkien. Okay. Flip-flopped on it. At first he said they were these renegades who'd made cults. That's what was in writings. Then he's like, you know what? On second thought, perhaps they actually helped save the East. They did things out there that made it easier. He flip-flopped on it because he wasn't settled on it. He didn't know what he wanted to do with it for sure exactly with them. So he kind of flip-flopped on it. So they kind of took their choice of what they wanted to go with. Now, if you're going to go with this, but you know why they did it, because they're doing parallels. We've already discussed that Nori and Poppy are literally Sam and Frodo. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Everything's a fucking parallel nowadays.
This guy,
the 80s longer.
This guy is literally Sauron. They made him even look like Christopher Lee.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's
like. Not only are you like trying to make him like that character, you even are trying to visually make him look like fucking Sauron from the movies.
Yeah. Okay. Like, what are the odds that out of the 5 wizards, 2 of them
and even talks like him,
evil? Yeah. My friend, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And where's the other guy? Where's the other? The 2 blues were like bros. Where the fuck is
my issue with him is they made him generic. He's having these rune people fucking chase them all over the place. Then when they fail, I'm here to be your friend. I said don't hurt them, even though I said hurt them. I said don't hurt them. What are you doing? I'm gonna kill my minions now. Ha!
I'm gonna one up you on that. Why the fuck is this? I mean, there's 5 wizards. There's the white Sauron, and when you look at him, he's got a white robe on. There's Gandalf the Grey, and he's got a gray beard, and he's got a gray robe, and then there's Radagast the Brown with a brown beard and a brown robe, and then there's this blue wizard Altiari, whatever the hell his name is gonna end up being. He ain't blue, brother. He's like silver. The fuck is up with that? This makes
Yeah,
no
but
fucking sense.
yeah,
This is stuff like that I don't understand. Where like at least with the context. Another thing too is when he did the Force. They everyone has the Force in the show now. At least
yeah,
these
they all
powerful
force
guys.
push everybody. But you know
That
where that
stuff got
came
annoying
from?
too.
You know where that came from?
It came
One
from the old
scene
books.
in Lord of the Rings. No, it came from one scene of the trilogy
Which
when
scene?
Saruman was throwing Gandalf around in Isengard before he put him
Oh
up on the
yeah,
roof.
yeah. No, and I get that, and I remember seeing that and being like, okay, so this is how the wizards fight and everything.
That's what they.
There's a
That's how
difference to
wizards
it, though.
fight. That's what they were doing.
But there was a difference to that though, where that felt it grounded enough, where it was like, oh, they need the staffs to do this, and it kind of this ain't easy to do. You know, only these guys can do
Because
it.
these
In this, it's
writers
like,
did not listen. These writers did not read the books. At best, they've watched the movies. And
I love it.
just like Tolkien fans will tell you, the movies aren't really. Peter Jackson took a lot of liberties. Okay.
It's funny you say that because it seems like they took the movie version, the Peter Jackson version, and then took their own liberties within that as well.
Yes.
And
But
made
who
things
are they
worse.
appealing to? You think they're appealing to lovers of the books? They're appealing to
don't
the
know who the fuck
millions
they're appealing
and
to.
millions of people that went to see the movies, to see the Lord of the Rings trilogy movies, who never read the fucking book in their life. They just want to see this cinematic wonder that was the Lord of the Rings. And they never read the
And
book.
I
Maybe
don't
they watched the
understand
Hobbit
how
cartoon.
You could see the movies and then seeing this show and then being like, oh, this is as good or a little less.
I tell you right now, someone who's never read a lick of Tolkien, who only saw the trilogy, they're watching this. They're like, "That's okay." I'm telling you, I'm telling you, they are.
It's okay. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but
in
okay is
this
good enough to
generation
keep
is-
people watching. Okay is enough to keep people watching, man. That's all you
Kept
need.
us
Just keep
I guess.
watching.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I guess like on some more specific points with this show because we haven't covered it in like a couple weeks. So we got Gandalf is here. Told you
Yeah.
I hate that with a passion. Let's see what did I like? Adar dies. We predicted.
I liked him
many
becoming the
moons
elf.
ago. Yeah, we predicted many moons ago that he'd get that ring, put it on, and he would look
Back
like
how he
his
used to be.
self again and everything like that.
Yeah.
I like that they portrayed him and like just fucking murdered his ass, like murdered him the same way.
Dude, there was
murdered.
a lot of like wow moments. Okay, like just
even with the
eating the
Celebrimbor
horse,
Sauron.
the orcs
Yeah, the
eating the horse. Okay, and then the troll just fucking smashing the horse. Okay, it was like whatever. And yeah, the way with Celebrimbor, that was brutal.
That
Dude, he was
I
so
shocked
sadistic with
to
him.
see
I'm like,
that.
whoa, this is brutal. And I liked it.
I did like what he ended up doing with Celebrimbor because I was very annoyed, as you guys probably remember at the beginning, because I was like, all right, he's just a fucking goofball this entire series. Like,
And he was
doesn't know
saddened.
What the
You-
fuck
you
is
s-
going on?
You see what they're trying to do with Saruman. It's kind of the Michael Corleone thing, right? You know how Michael Corleone was always like, everyone fears me. My father, they respected my father. They loved my father. Why did they only fear me? You know? And Sauron's thinking like, I'm here to free you all. Why don't you all love me? He wants to be loved because he wants to create, because Morgoth was all about destruction, right? He's like, no. We don't want you to destroy this. We just need to control it. And he's like, I'm going to be your Jesus Christ. I'm going to be your savior. And boo, why don't you love me? And that's how he's. And I kind of like that. A lot of people have said they're trying to make Sauron sympathetic. Technically, there's nothing to be sympathetic about him in any of the books at all.
Yeah,
Or the original trilogy movie. But they're trying to, and this goes back to the fan fiction, and I'm going to say it. And people are going to say I'm stereotyping, but you know what? I know enough people. And I'm going to be a misogynist too after this. Watch.
Stereotypes are based in reality. Go ahead.
But here's the issue when it gets back to the fan fiction, and it gets back to the shipping and all that kind of nonsense that people love. A lot of young girls and young women, and some more, and especially in this very non-binary world, younger men that are more effeminate, in touch with their feminine side, they all fall in love with the bad guy. And this even goes back to the old stereotype of girls liking the bad boy. You know what I mean? They fall in love with the bad guy. And the way female fans are hard to get in a lot of stuff. And if you can capture a female demographic on top of a male demographic, you have a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the deal. Like they know what a lot of nerd stuff will get the men, but to make it a hit, we need the women. And women went to go see Lord of the Rings because they thought Orlando Bloom was hot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They thought Aragorn was hot. Okay, they went to go see that kind of stuff, and it
They thought
worked.
Gimli was hot.
Okay, yeah, I don't think so. But but so if you make Sauron this sympathetic figure, and not only that, now in his fair form, he was beautiful as an elf, so that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. He's supposed to be that way as Anatar and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But they want to make him sympathetic. They want the girls to say, "Oh, I can fix him." That's what they want. Okay, because if they do that, now you got the women coming. Just like Jon Snow. Jon Snow is this broken bastard, right? And they all came for Jon Snow. Okay, he wasn't the bad guy, but you see what I'm saying? They like
Jamie
the bad
Lannister,
guy,
a lot of
yeah,
girls
Jamie
like
Lannister,
That was a big
right?
one.
They fall in love with the bad guy, and they want him to be more sympathetic. So that way, if you give him enough sympathy, but understand he's still the bad guy, that's enough to give that I want to fix him vibe, and they all fall in love with him and want him. Okay, and that's what they're doing with it. And people are gonna say it's a conspiracy theory and it's this. Listen, if it hits the right demographic, it does work because it's already working. Kind of what Rings of Power. People love that actor who's playing fucking Sauron. They love him.
No.
It's
Or
working.
even, that show you with God, Benjamin something, whatever the fuck his name is. The show character's name is Joe Goldberg and everything like that. It's this scrawny, skinny white guy, but he just goes around killing and falling in love with these girls and killing for them and all that stuff. And women love him. They find him so hot because he is
Yeah,
a
see?
bad guy. He's a psychopath, but you understand him and everything. Talk about the fuckboy area.
Stormy.
Or,
This is
I had mine in like middle school, maybe high school. So it feels like ancient history at this point, but I do know many people who are still in it, and I think that's what the industry is going through right now is like this fuckboy era of
And
we
there's
want to
nothing
make these
wrong with
bad
that
guys look
in
cool.
general. Like here, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like stories that are morally kind of gray, where not everybody's good, or even the bad guy. Like you do have some sympathy with some bad guys. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. In some new stories that come out, new
It's gotta
IPs,
be
new stories.
a reasonable
But
amount though, like Thanos in
well,
Avengers
again,
Endgame. People could
yeah, because
see
they did with
Thanos.
Thanos, and Thanos was. I mean, technically they did in the comic books because he did all that for Lady Death because he was in love with Lady Death, and that's why he did that. So he did it for love. It's literally why he did it. So they tried to take the sympathy from the comic books and do a little bit different sympathy that he was trying to help. But I like that, and with Thanos it worked. Like to your point, with him it worked. It worked okay. It was a change in the storyline, but it worked. But with a Lord of the Rings universe where Tolkien was it's an old kind of story, right? And it's very black hat, white hat. There is none of that morally gray bullshit. Okay? You don't have that in this. It's very, very, even Star Wars you can have that, right? That's why people love the Gray Jedi so much, even though they're not real, technically. But in Tolkien's universe, it isn't, man. It's good versus evil. It is good versus evil. There is no middle ground. They are literally Anakin.
Like
Either you with me or you're my
White
enemy.
Witch in Narnia, like not that bad of a person or something like that. She was really just trying to save Narnia from climate change or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And
work.
now his
You need that
seduction of
black and white.
everyone, his chef's kiss, the way he's seducing everyone is great. I love it. I love the way he is seducing everybody. And they're all falling in love with him, by the way. Kelly Brimbor was in love with him, bro. He was in love with him too.
When he went outside and it was like a middle of a siege and he just saw like flowers and stuff and he's sipping
Drinking his
tea and shit
espresso.
like that. Yeah. I'm like, I love this shit. Like that actually was really good. Another highlight for me though, was the dwarves. That was one of the only arcs I kind of liked about this season yet again.
Yeah.
I do feel like had a couple corny moments for me. Or like the arcs that it just felt like it was kind of I didn't like the closure to it, in my opinion.
Ah, no, dude. During the third went out like a G, man. Come on, that was great.
He did. His was good. I just didn't like how
Durin didn't show up at the in Aragon because he wasn't.
Boy shows up and he's like, "Hey, we need to call
Yeah.
back the army because your dad. You only need one guy to stop your dad." And then the army never. Well, it does show up at the end, but I don't see why you didn't send the army anyways. Like they didn't. What the fuck was the army gonna do against your dad? It's
The
one
best
guy.
the best fake out was because they pulled this was a joke off Lord of the Rings, right? Look to the east, right? When Rohan came,
Yeah,
look to
yeah.
the east, and then they they come running down, and then the sun comes up, and fucking Elrond is look to the north, the dwarves. There's just one guy, clippity clop. He comes running down. And he's like, where are they? It's like, he's not here. Oh my God, there's no dwarves. It's like, oh shit, it didn't happen. And then when the dwarves finally show up, Gil Galad is laying there. Hey, he looks at him and goes, the dwarves.
Yeah.
I loved
like
it. That was great. he almost gave him like a wink, like, bro, they're here. They're here, bro.
Yeah, I can't fucking believe it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Stuff like that I didn't mind, but and the dwarves are stuff worked. It's just like the seeing thing was a little much for me. I'll be real with you. But everything else with the whole ring and him being corrupted by it and everything, I actually thought was very well. And oh my god, I loved the end where he was like, he's like, I didn't let you raise your hand. That was you. You know, and he thought about that even when he had the ring on. Like it did,
Yeah.
even as an audience member,
You
it
were
did kinda
getting
shock me where
stronger.
I was like,
I wasn't letting you lift up. You were getting stronger.
yeah, and I love that because I was like, all right, well, it's kind of showing that even though the ring is corrupted,
Because
he's
their
still there.
father and son dynamic was so much love. It was and the reason why I really appreciated that is because if you think about most modern um um media, they usually have
The
these
dad's
bad
always a
relationships
deadbeat.
with their dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's
Dad's
got
either
daddy
deadbeat
issues.
or a dummy or a loser or or like it's Homer Simpson. I mean, there's always something. And it was like his dad stumbled, okay, but he never gave up on his dad because he knows his dad's a good man, you know.
Hmm.
And his dad came back and showed it to him, and the love they had for each other as father and son. And then because I just lost my dad 2 years ago, it was just kind of touching to me, and it did almost it didn't bring a tear to my eye, but it was hanging there. It was almost there.
Oh, I could see why. I mean, it really was it was probably one of the healthiest relationships in this show
Yeah.
so far, and Durin is going to be missed going forward. I mean, I did like his character. I thought the ring corrupting him and everything was not executed in the way that I would have particularly liked it, but I do think the way they did it makes sense within the context of the story and what they're
Yeah.
trying to accomplish here.
But the worst part about it is the tease about how after seeing all this shit and all the fighting he did with dad to give it a ring, and now he's gonna have to fight for his kingship. They all look at the fucking rings. These motherfuckers are gonna use the fucking rings. Motherfucker, did you not learn a damn thing?
Yeah, I know. Well, and then his wife was like, oh God, this is where some of the accents sometimes kill me. Is he's like, we gotta help Elrond, and she's like, no, we got problems of our own.
Yeah.
We need to stay here, Dan. You got a wee lad to raise. I was like, God damn, shut the fuck up, please, God, stop with the.
I mean, he's a family
Not
man.
her. Yeah, he's a family man. But no, not Gandalf. Gandalf has left Nori, and
Yeah.
Samwise
Poppy.
Gamgee, Poppers. Yeah. Um, I hope both of those characters die. I hope we never see them again. I
And
don't
again,
want
it was another
anything to do
parallel.
with the
Like I said,
Harfoots.
it was Sam and Frodo, and not only
Everything's a
that,
parallel today. Everything's
it
a
was
fucking
it
parallel.
was
Every
yeah, because
franchise.
they doubled down on it. They did it like it's okay to do callbacks, but they did it way too much. I mean, it's like they were so nervous about people who love the movies watching this that they had to throw so much member berries. Remember Sam and
Yeah,
Frodo?
that's what exactly what it
Remember?
was. I remember. Oh God.
But it's a weird member berry though. It's like, oh, remember them? This is how it started. You know what I mean? That's what it is, and it's like, it's showing why, because everyone's like, okay, so Gandalf has this love for the hobbits, and they never really explained it in the original movies. So why does he love the hobbits so much? And they're showing, well, this is why he loves the hobbits so much, because they taught him caring about people is what what he needed to do, and that's why he was able. So I see the moral there, but it was very heavy handed and very on the nose.
And
and
dragged out
and
way too
right.
long. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
And him with the whole Tom Bombadil thing, I didn't mind him having like a mentor kind of person and it being Tom Bombadil. I
Yeah.
just hated when Tom Bombadil's like, some who died deserve life, and some who live deserve death. Who are you to give them? And it's like, oh yeah, yep, I remember that. So he got that from Tom too. Okay, heard. Oh, and then the
Yep.
staff too. I love that he got a staff, and all that it took to get that staff was this poor village of these tiny people
Yep. Getting destroyed.
losing their village. Countless lives have been wrecked. It was an actual tragedy. Like it was a
Oh,
true
what's
tragedy.
what's this? What's this on the ground?
Yeah, like
I almost
I
tripped
can't
on it.
imagine
What's
him
this?
telling Tom Bombadil about the story, being like, "Oh, you found the staff, and the staff found you." Yeah, it was just around this
Yeah.
guy, dead body over here. He
I
was
was
about 8 years
walking
old.
through this destroyed village and I almost tripped on it. I'm like, what's this? Oh,
Yeah.
hey, it's a staff.
Yeah. Who destroyed the village? Oh, this wizard. This wizard who's my friend.
Yeah.
We're having issues and everything. I haven't seen him in hundreds of
We
years.
need to stop Sauron. What? But you want to replace him? Yeah, but we can replace him. We'll be stronger than him. But you can't do that. That's bad. But you don't understand what's going to happen if he comes. Let me show you. Ha! It's like-
This was basically
that's-
Rings of Power, a Star Wars story.
but again, that's where it gets lazy to me. It's like, okay,
Yes.
so you want to show, how a similarity to Sauron, how he was corrupted, and how this blizzard could be corrupted, and this and but you basically used this guy as a foil for it. You took a character that wasn't really used and you wasted it on nonsense. You literally could have plugged in anybody into that situation.
Or even with the whole Gandalf reveal thing. Like, come on, we've all kind of known literally since his first introduction that this was Gandalf. Like it's the whole Chimere thing all over again. It's like, am I supposed to be surprised that this is who you are saying it is now? Like, I would have been shocked if they said it was Saruman or yeah, one of the Blue Wizards or even like Radagast or something. But it being Gandalf is like this. It's like the lowest hanging fruit possible. Where it's like that took you 2 seasons to tell us, and I'm supposed to be excited for see. Like, I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't fucking care. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else top?
And I popped that up, by the way. We actually have I am doing this on the TikToks too. So we got some
Oh
TikToks
shit, we're on TikTok.
people. Yeah, we're on TikTok, buddy. We're live on TikTok.
I didn't know that the attention span of TikTok allowed
Yeah.
us to live stream to it. Oh yeah, they do have live streaming things. Funny
yeah.
enough, that's how I watch a lot of illegal boxing and UFC streams. I hope I don't get anybody taken down. But God, I love the internet because for those of you listening who might not be in like pay-per-view stuff or anything like that, there was a time you wanted to watch a pay-per-view, you had to buy that motherfucker, all right? Or
Oh,
you
yeah.
had to find a really reliable stream, and
Oh, yeah.
those things used to those people would
Listen,
guard that with their life. They couldn't tell you
nobody
anything.
knows the pain. I was young. It was an uncle that did it for me. But when Tyson was big, so that was in the 90s. Okay, when did Tyson lose to
Buster Douglas? It was like
Buster Douglas?
96,
What
I
year was
think.
it? 96, right? So okay, I was in my 20s already. But I didn't pop the money on it. But this was back in 96, and that back then it was like $50 to get the fight, which $50 in 96, that's some money.
It's like $100
You know what I mean?
today.
Okay,
Oh, I
and
misspoke.
even more than
It's
that.
1990. It's not 1996. I was off.
Right. Okay, 1990. Okay, so I thought so. Yeah, I was in high school still. And I had never seen a fight and I was never a boxing guy, but he was so dominant. It's like, oh my God, it's like, I'd be wasting money to watch it. He never gets past the third round, but it's like, yeah, but that's exciting as fuck, right? So we finally get it. Okay, we're going to watch the Buster Douglas fight. And then the motherfucker loses. and it was like, oh shit. Oh no, it wasn't even that one. It was the Sphinx fight. That was only 90 seconds.
Oh, Leon Spinks. Yeah, yeah.
It was a 90
Or I
second
was
fucking
thinking
it was 90 seconds. He TKO'd him or he knocked him out. 90 seconds was the whole week.
Well, a lot of his
Spent
fights were like
$50.
that. A lot of people said
$50.
back then that
Yeah,
was the
but-
problem with it.
Yeah, but not all his fights were pay-per-view. It was only big ones that
Yeah,
that
that's
they
true. Like when he fought Holyfield and everything, those were really
Yeah.
big pay-per-view fights, even for that era and everything like that. But yeah, no, illegally streaming those motherfuckers used to be really hard. And now, I can just pull up TikTok and I got whatever UFC pay-per-views happening, whatever boxing pay-per-views happening. Like times are changing. It is beautiful. It is a
Yeah.
beautiful time we live in. But back to Rings of Power. and
Oh,
not
real
in the
quick.
Rings
I
of
know,
Power
I keep
movie.
digressing, but the one TikTok chatter we got said I finished the movies and on my second time watching Clone Wars. Should I start reading Legends? Yes. If anyone asks, I don't care where you're at in Star Wars. If you ask, should I start reading Legends? The answer is always yes. Yes. You'll
But
you'll
there's a
you'll run into some
particular set of
garbage.
books. There's a particular set of books you got to read. You got to read
Yes.
Darth Plagueis. You got to read
Hmm.
the Bane trilogy,
Hmm.
and Heir to the Empire.
Hmm.
That's an oldie but a goldie. And then you
The
know,
new Jedi books with Luke. And
there's some solid ones in those. They're not all fucking goaded. I have a bunch of
I liked.
Eve books
I was
around
okay
me,
with the
but
Yuzan Vong. I like the Yuzan Vong. I thought that was pretty
I like
cool.
the Yuuzhan Vong thing. I didn't when they got into the Abeloth stuff. I was highly interested, but I wasn't a fan of all the characters of it at that time.
And
Like the
Jack, I guess we can
Crate
get back
one.
into. And I guess we can get back now
Oh, that's
into.
another thing. The Numenor plot. I almost forgot all about
Yeah.
that too. I okay. Well, I will say when he put his hand on the Palantir, whatever am I saying
Pe-
Palantir, whatever the fuck.
Palantir. Yes, the Palantir.
Yeah, yeah. God bless you. When he put his hand on that, the scene where like it starts cracking and the CGI on it, that was actually pretty fucking cool. That was very cool. And then the queen going into the water and seeing that sea creature. Y'all know I don't like the dark depths of the world. That did make me shit my pants. But I thought that was cool because it spat her back out and everything like that. But still, at the end of the day, I'm not into this Numenor stuff all that much. I like this guy taking over.
I like
I
it.
really do. But some of the like willingness from the citizens just to be like, oh, that system we've had for hundreds of years is just gone. We're just gonna execute the religious. All right, yeah, by all means, go
Well,
ahead. Just
it's again. This is what I was telling you earlier, and this is the main issue with it. And again, and this is purely if someone who's really new to all this and they're watching, they don't know anything about it. It's fine. Okay. This is me with my Lord of the Rings fan hat on, but it's the timeline is so condensed. Okay,
yes.
this Numenor shit was not going on when they were fighting in the Region. Okay, and it took a long time. Basically, they all the shit in the Region happens, and then they continue the war. It goes on for like 20 years. They're fighting to Sauron in Middle Earth, and then the Numenorians come to finally help and they start fighting him, and then they capture Sauron, and they bring Sauron back to Numenor, and instead
And
of
that's when all this starts happening.
he was still Anatar at that point, yes, and then Ar-Pharazôn, instead of putting him in a fucking cage or executing him, makes him his advisor because he seduces him like he did with the elves,
No,
and
I thought they
basically
put him in a cage, and then he slowly started convincing him to
yeah,
like,
yeah,
let him on
yeah,
the
yeah,
council and
right,
stuff like that.
yeah, and he became like his number two guy. He became like Wormtongue with Rohan. And he became his advisor, and he convinced him to convert to the worship of Morgoth, and that's
And
how
invade
this
the
whole
Valar. Let's go fight
yeah.
the gods.
But that was over a period of time, and what you saw like where they took time with Celebrimbor and Anatar, that's what happened with Ar-Pharazôn and Anatar. It's the same thing. He just did it over there. And then we got a whole Atlantis situation, and then it sinks to the bottom of the sea and all this other shit. But because the timeline's so condensed and they're having these things happen at the same time, they kind of had that happening over there on its own, all because just Ar-Pharazôn is just trying to consolidate power. And anything involving the Valar is taking power away from him. So he wants to get rid of their worship altogether.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I the Numenor stuff, it was better for me this season than it was last season for sure. But a lot of my issues with the show, and I'm starting to realize that now that we're at the end of season 2, fundamentally is the characters. A lot of these characters I just don't care about, like in the slightest. Like if I could tell you my favorite character of this series, Durin, probably.
I have a handful. I have a
Yeah, no,
handful.
I can't.
I like Durin and Durin. I like Sauron. I do. I like Sauron. I like them as
He's fine, yeah. When he's on screen, I
he
like
was
it.
okay in season 1 as Hellbrand, but he got much better in season 2 as Anatar. Okay, and
Ooh,
his
I
whole
like
seduction.
Adar. I will say I like Adar. When
I
he's
like
on screen,
Adar.
I'm interested.
I like Celebrimbor. Um, I I liked that stuff that they were doing there. I like Elendil, but we don't see enough of him. I don't give a shit about Isildur, and you're supposed to. And I don't give a shit about
Theon
Isildur.
too. Oh my god, dude, Theon could not show up in season 3, and I
Dude,
promise
kill this
you I
kid.
wouldn't notice.
Kill this kid. Fuck. Where is it? Fuck
them
kids. Okay. I'm so tired of this kid.
What about Isildur's mistress?
Oh, fuck her too.
No, that's what he wants to do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna bring you back to Numenor to me. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
you can't come back.
I didn't realize you had a fucking husband. God damn it. Fucking lying.
Like the whole point is that
she had to lie about.
Because of what happens in Numenor, Elendil, Isildur, and their brother. Oh my god, his name is starts with an A. His brother, which they haven't really shown hardly at all, but his brother. He mentioned him in this. They all leave together, and they found three kingdoms in Middle Earth. One being Gondor, and I forgot the name of the other two.
Were these like the Dunedain Rangers, or are they like separate people?
Well, they will become the Dunedain.
Okay.
That's how the great kingdoms of men were founded.
Oh, I did not know that, because I was curious on like, when did Gondor be found, because I'm like, Mordor's right fucking there, bro.
Yeah,
like, now
yeah,
you're
yeah,
building on like land you shouldn't.
There was a city in the north that his father, Elendil, was in. Isildur was in another. Their brother was in another, and they had like these kingdoms, and they were like the bastion of what was supporting the Middle Earth, and then shortly after that, Numenor fucking sank into the sea.
God damn it, fucking Numenor. Well, to wrap this up, what would be your rating for season 2 of Rings of Power, a Star Wars story?
As an overall for the whole season, now the middle dragged out for me. It did. It took a little too long.
That was bad.
And little digression, but I'll say this because we bitch about Star Wars. I'm like, man, we need these to be longer, right? We need them to be longer. But I also do have a limit where I start to like zone out after a while, no matter how good it is. It even happens to me with sometimes with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon too. It's like hitting that hour mark is pushing it. But I think the sweet spot for me is 45 minutes. You give me a solid 45-minute episode, it's usually a banger. Okay? Banger.
Preferably
because when
the wives.
Right. But when it's when it's a so because even if it's a slow episode, you could at least kind of get through 45. And if it's a slow episode, it's an hour and 10 minutes, you're like,
oh my god, yeah, that
you know, it's like Jesus Christ. But I would say, and I will preface this with what my season 1 overall rating was. Hi, baby. My wife came home. My season 1 overall rating for the whole season, I think, was like a 2. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the whole
that.
season. That's how I felt about the whole fucking season. It was like a 2. Okay? Just my lingering love for Lord of the Rings, for my love of Durin, because that's literally in season 1, the only thing I liked was Durin. And I did kind of like Halbrand. I liked how, I could see his seduction happening. So I liked Halbrand and I liked Durin. That was about
Just
it.
because they called it Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, it got a 2.
Right. Well, I would say Durin and Halbrand was got it up to a 2. So that was one. So it's with this one.
Duran fan.
I would say I would give this for season 2 a huge improvement for me. It's a 7.
That's a big jump. That's a really big jump.
Big jump. Big jump. When you make good changes, it works with me. It impresses me. Even if I didn't like everything in it, the fact that you made enough changes to say, hey, I see that, I recognize that, you get points for that.
I'm going to give it... I'm leaning between a 5 and a 6. But my issue with the series at the end of the day is like it's core fundamental things of like, no, I don't care about your characters. I don't find the directing, the pacing, and the writing all that great at times. Your story selection isn't what I really enjoy. So for me, I want to say a 6 just because of the ending in the beginning. When we first came back and they dropped those first 3 episodes, I actually was impressed. Like you, I was like, oh, this is a lot better than I remember. And I think I'm having a little bit of a bias towards the middle part because I didn't watch them each week that they came out because the morning that we were going to do the show, we were like, oh shit, we got stuff going on, we can't do the show. So I'd skip an episode. But I'm partly glad I did because even when we were going to do one of the episodes, I was watching the Rings of Power that dropped that morning. I was like, this is back to the usual with season one. So this one had higher highs than season one, but the lows are still there and they're still consistent. And this one didn't really do too much to make me go, "Oh my God, this show has been redeemed." This is just kind of more of the same, but they're figuring out their pace. They're getting into a rhythm now. I do think season three will be better, and then I think season four will be better, and then season five. I do think they're going to get a little bit better and better. My worry though is with us talking about the runtime of some of these episodes and they're being kind of long, they're not really progressing the plot in a meaningful way and in a good time frame either. Like it's the end of season two. Maybe there's gonna be five seasons. We're just not finding out this guy's Gandalf. Like real, like I still don't really know where they're gonna completely go with this series yet, which I guess is a good point. But normally, in most shows at the end of season two, you should kind of have a good trajectory of what's going to happen with the rest of the series. At the end of season two with Breaking Bad, you're like, all right, Walter's cooking some meth now. Like this is happening. He's in this for a good while. Into this season two, you're like, okay, so Sauron does create the rings, and you guys got to do the alliance thing to stop him. You also have to sink Numenor, and there's a lot of other shit that's got to happen in the meantime as well. So like you got a lot of ground to cover. So for me, I have to give it a 5 out of 10 just because it is better than season one, but it is not good enough to be like this is a good.
They gotta found Gondor. Rohan basically comes up of some of men. It comes out of that, but it wasn't like founded by them. But you gotta do the founding of Gondor. Elrond's going to go and create Rivendell, and then after Lorien, that's when Galadriel leaves off and does Lothlorien. So you got to have those things being founded. And at this point in again, I will see because they've contracted the storyline so much it's confusing. But he's talking about we ended it with him saying, "Oh, the armies are heading out." At this point in the war, Sauron actually takes over a lot of shit, and he has them on their heels. It's the largest control of Middle Earth he's ever had in history. So we're going to get to the part, they should be getting to the part where it looks grim. Like we'll say like by episode 3 or 4, it's like Sauron's winning and he's controlling everything. And that's when the Numenorians come and then they fight him off and they push him and the elves push him and then he ends up losing and that's when he gets taken to Numenor. So instead of him coming, we're going to see that Elendil's leaving, so he's going to be coming here. He's going to meet up with Isildur, and they're going to found their kingdom. And they're probably just going to have them two both do Gondor instead of separated, the way they are in the book. That's what I'm guessing. But so it's going to be Elendil, Isildur, and his brother, and whatever Numenorians that are loyal to them that are going to help him fight the war. They're going to be kind of like the Rohan in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Well, I predict that for season 3. Nori and Poppy are coming back. They're going to save Gandalf from the Blue Wizards on the Eagles. That's kind of be how he met the Eagles for the first time. And then Elrond
Can I ask a question?
Is going to play hide the pickle with Galadriel. I think they're
Oh, God, his mother-in-law. What is he going to do? Father his own wife? Anyway, Jesus, it's horrible. But I like to know this. So they obviously, again, remember Weathertop? Remember when Frodo was remember when Frodo was stabbed by the Morgul blade?
I remember the 9.
So apparently, Sauron's crown's a Morgul blade. So she was doing it, and that's what they were really worried about, not the 200-foot fall.
I know, right? I was like, how the fuck did she survive that?
Dude, you see her as this little white dot. Just go.
Yeah.
That was like,
I was like, why would you
sorry,
check
trigger point for anyone. I'm not trying to make light of it, but like when they did the close-up videos of fucking 9/11, where you saw people jumping from the tower, that's what it looked like. I'm like, there's no way. How is she? I go, what's gonna happen? Is an eagle gonna save her? Because there's no way. I'm like, I didn't even, I know she
like,
got stabbed. I'm thinking when it's happened, I'm like, oh, this is going to be something like that. I bet you. And I was right.
look,
But when I saw the
know
fall, I'm like,
Palpatine's.
well, that's
If
going to be
he
the
fell
worst
from
thing.
a cliff like that, me and you would
Yeah.
not go check on him. He's dead.
No, he's
Like
dead.
there'd be nothing to go check on. I'd be like, yo, bro, did you
You
see
know
the
how I like?
300-foot drop? Like
I
he's
like how they all
gone,
turned.
brother.
I like how they all turned and happened to look up there right when she was falling.
Speaking of turns, there's one scene in this specific episode where I was like, all right, this editing's kind of bad. When they announce they like arrest the faith of Numenor and the guards like surround them, and they say like, oh, by decree of whatever. The lady turns, and when she turns, it cuts to like the direction she's turning to, and it makes it look like the guys are like nailing a piece of paper of
Oh,
like the
jeez.
declaration inside the chamber. You know, just right there, just boom, 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 boom. Small little editing thing, but anywho,
Yeah.
are you excited for season 3?
Well, I was way more excited for season 3 than I was for season 2. I was dreading this. I'm like, oh god, if they go with how way season 1 is, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to be able to finish it. And
Damn, I wanted to be negative. I don't think I can argue against that. I think I'm in the same boat
Yeah.
where I'm like, I'm not, but I'll say I'm not excited for it. But if I do have more interest in it, season 3 wise, than I did season 2.
Yeah.
by far, by fucking
Yep.
far.
all right, so I guess we can wrap it up. So I guess, guys, I guess we won't be around for a few weeks after this one, unless something pops. If something pops, obviously we'll do. If there's some big news or big fucking thing that happens, in Star Wars or whatever, we'll make a show. But I guess when does Skeleton Crew premiere? Is it the end? Is it the end of November?
December 3rd.
December 3rd, so it's not even for. So I guess we can do. There'll be trailers and stuff again. So I guess we can do the week before, Halloween week or whatever. We could do, probably do a show over there, preview show before Skeleton Crew comes out.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, and I mean, a problem with this show is that one of the episodes is going to come out on I think like Christmas Eve or Christmas when we would be doing the show,
Yeah.
and everything like that. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, we'll figure things out, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated. There's still like a couple episodes of Chatooine I'd like to do on Star Wars before Skeleton Crew drops, but at the moment, I do feel like we kind of need a break. It's been nice to kind of, even these last 3 weeks, they weren't really planned to be a break, but it was kind of nice to have a bit of a break. And Star Wars isn't a dry spell. And honestly,
Yeah.
looking back too, we did like over 60 episodes straight every freaking week, almost every
Yeah.
single week for the past like
And you
year
know-
and a half. We've been here.
Well,
Or,
when
just
there's
year,
stuff to
almost.
talk about, it doesn't drain on me.
Exactly.
But when it
There's
starts
nothing to
when it
talk
starts to
about right now.
slim out, then it's like, fuck. So I would say this, guys, conservatively, the next 3 weeks we won't be doing a show, and we will be going back to Wednesdays. We're only doing Thursdays because this Rings of Power thing. So we'll be going back to Wednesdays unless you want to stay on Thursdays. It's up to you.
No, Wednesdays
I-
are fine, I think, for everybody.
Okay. So we'll be going back to Wednesdays. So I would say tentatively probably the 30th.
Yeah, that seems about right.
We'll probably be back. So the next 3 weeks, no Chatooine show. And just keep an eye out on Twitter and on the community tab. We'll let you know for sure exactly when. But it'll probably I would say conservatively probably be the 30th. That'll be like our preview show for Skeleton Crew, and then we'll be doing Skeleton Crew through December.
Well, the 30th of October this month, they would still give us a month before Skeleton Crew because that's in December.
Oh yeah, shit. What am I talking about? Yeah. It's
yeah.
So we'll be gone like a month and a half.
You are right, though. You are right. I do think 3 weeks of no Chatooine is probably going to happen, and then we'll do maybe one show, maybe take a couple more weeks break, and don't think that this is all just going to be the same. I know me and Lunga have kind of slacked off a little bit with the Rings of Power stuff because this wasn't Star Wars and everything. Like we're kind of just keeping content going for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, and to be serious, guys, if you think about it, there's really nothing big coming out in October, November, and anyway, there's like nothing.
There's
all
nothing
the good
to talk
stuff.
about. There's nothing.
All the
There's
good. I mean,
literally nothing.
for me, there's Vox Machina, but I know you don't watch it, and I bet you these motherfuckers don't watch any of these D&D stuff. But Vox Machina is
I don't know what
fucking
the fuck
great.
that is.
Oh, Vox Machina! It's an animated version of the Critical Role, what the Critical Role campaign people did. The Critical Role campaign they did for D&D, Matt Mercer and all of them. It's their characters from Critical Role, so they made an animated series of Vox Machina, and the new season just dropped. But I doubt you don't even know what the hell it is, and I doubt many people in the chat will know what Vox Machina is. Anyway, that's
Probably
my
not.
D&D nerd coming out. But yeah.
Well, I mean, during the break, I'll be what I have been doing for the past couple weeks because I haven't done a lot of Star Wars only content. Is I've been pre-making content, so I do plan on coming back to Star Wars
Yeah,
only YouTube.
channel.
But but I want to like have like a bunch of videos just made to be ready to fucking go.
Right,
And just-
right. Oh, I guess we can answer this question too. You're asking the wrong guys. Ask Goldman. Don't ask us.
Yeah. It's been rough, man. Like communication's a two-way street. And the last time we talked, he was talking to me about the sequels, and I don't really want to talk to him anymore. You know, I don't like the sequels, and Goldman won't shut up about it. God, damn,
Someone's
I get it.
someone's gonna
It
take that.
happened.
Someone's gonna take that shit seriously. Only hates Goldman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he really
all
pissed
right.
me off the other day saying Rebels was like the best Star Wars show. I was like, oh, this motherfucker's never coming back on Chatooine.
Oh, here we
again.
go. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
well, you guys will be back on Chatooine, and we will be back. When? We don't know. In the future?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Soon, we'll figure it out. But thank you all for tuning in. Is there a ring? I always ask this, a Rings of Power reference? May the rings be with you.
Enough
Nine
with
to
that shit.
bind them, and
Enough with
in the
that shit.
darkness, bind them. I don't know how the quote goes.
Say goodbye, motherfucker.
Chatooine show. We'll see you when we see you. Goodbye.
Wow.